When we hear Jesus' parables, there always seems to be something in the parable that bothers us. It might be what seems to be an overreaction by one of the characters. It might be something that seems unfair. In this parable, there's one thing that really bothers me. It's when the foolish bridesmaids knock on the door of the bridegroom and the door's shut, and they say, "Lord, Lord, let us in." And the bridegroom says, "Truly I tell you, I don't know you." I don't know you. Maybe the thing that really bothers me is that I have a tendency, and I believe you probably do too, when we hear Jesus' parables, when he talks about a king or a lord or a landowner or a bridegroom, we tend to think, oh, that's God. It isn't necessarily God, but we have a tendency to think that way. And so when I hear that story and I think, oh, Jesus, and then I hear Jesus say, "I don't know you," I really struggle with that this week. I mean, how could Jesus say, "I don't know you," when in our baptism, he promised to take us into his family and to love us forever? Of course, we do have to remember that it's a parable, and this parable starts with, "The kingdom of heaven is like this." It doesn't say the kingdom of heaven is this. It says it's like this. For example, when we say love is like a wet puppy, it doesn't mean, you know what I mean? Love might be like a wet puppy, but love isn't a wet puppy necessarily. Still, it's hard not to think that way. One of the things that I found really interesting in studying about this time is when you think about marriages back in antiquity, way back when. Way back then, the engagement was the big thing. The engagement was the legal thing. That's why, remember back around Christmas time, we talked about Mary and Joseph, and Joseph found out that they were engaged, but she was with child, and it wasn't his child, and he was going to divorce her. And we always go, how could he divorce her? He's only engaged. Because the engagement was the legal thing. And what happened with the wedding is that there was no ceremony. On the wedding night, the bridegroom would come to the bride's house, get the bride, and take her to his house, and she would live there. He would go and get her. He would arrive there. She would be there with her bridesmaids, and they would have a procession to his house, and then they'd have a party. In the parable, the groom is late. He's probably negotiating the dowry, or maybe celebrating with the father. Who knows? It comes to midnight, and the women are asleep because he was so late. At midnight, he comes, and there's a shout. "Look, the bridegroom! Come out to meet him." And the bridesmaids wake up. They had been sleeping, and they wake up. Now, speaking of sleeping, have you ever had a dream where you were still in school and it was, well, I've had a dream, I'm still in school, it's the last semester of my education, it is the last week of the semester, I need this class to graduate, and I have not been to that class all semester. and there's a paper due or a test, and I'm scared. If I don't get this class, I won't graduate. Then I wake up scared. And sometimes it takes me a long time for me to realize I'm not in school anymore. 30 years I'm still not in school anymore. I've already graduated. I don't need to be scared. It was just a dream. It's not real. There's nothing to worry about. I have been confused between what is reality and what is a dream. I think the same thing is happening with the foolish bridesmaids. They woke up. Or did they? The bridegroom was there. They were out of oil. They tried to get some from the wise bridesmaids, but the wise ones couldn't share. So they ran off scared to find some oil. They get to the groom's house. We don't know if they have oil or if they're still in the dark. The groom would not let them in. He said, "I don't know you." The foolish bridesmaids needed to wake up. I think sometimes we need to wake up. Those foolish bridesmaids didn't forget their oil. They forgot their faith. The wise bridesmaids, they couldn't give their oil, their faith. The foolish ones needed their own faith. Sometimes I think we forget our faith. Sometimes we read this parable and we think that Jesus can forget us. Can we read this parable and think that there is something that we could ever do, that there could be a time when Jesus would say to us, "Truly I tell you, I don't know you"? Do you ever get scared that no one loves you, that no one will claim to know you? Do you ever think that God will say, "I don't know you, I don't love you"? Wake up. You are God's beloved children. You are baptized children of God. Once this woman from a previous congregation came to me. She was scared and upset. She had read some of the Left Behind series books about the end times and Satan. And she was so scared. Not that you shouldn't be scared about Satan and the devil and the end times, but she forgot all about Jesus. You can't forget about your wild card that's more powerful than anything else. Don't forget, you are a baptized child of God. I think it was Luther who said, "The God we seek is the God we find." The God we seek is the God we find. What God do you seek? Do you seek a God that will say, "I don't know you"? Forget that God. Wake up. Seek the God who has told you, "I love you. You are mine forever." Keep awake, therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour. Amen.